Thomas, as we heard at the end of that report, Russia has now said it's withdrawing its troops from the Afrin area of Aleppo. How significant is that?
It's clearly very, very significant because it's doubtful that if Russia hadn't decided to withdraw what it's thought to be was some 200 to 300 troops, servicemen, as the Russian Ministry of Military Affairs refers to them, if they weren't taken out of Afrin, and if Russia hadn't given the go-ahead for Turkey to start this attack on Afrin, it's very, very unlikely that it would have happened at all. Certainly, we've seen Turkish jets bombing Afrin, as I'm sure you saw in that report there, and that's significant as well because it means that Russia didn't just stand back and say it's removing its troops. It must have said, because it controls the skies over Afrin, it must have said that it would allow Turkish planes to enter the airspace without any sort of impediment from the Russian side. Now, Moscow's been very, very clear about this. It was in a little bit of a tricky position to say really what to do in this situation, whether to side with the Kurds and tell Turkey not to go into Afrin, or whether to side with Turkey, as it has done, and give Ankara the go-ahead. But Russia's been very clear. Moscow, in a recent statement just a couple of hours ago, laid the blame for this attack very clearly at the door of the US, saying that arms that have been provided to Syria's Kurds and this suggestion of the creation of what was referred to initially as a border force of some 30,000 people in Syria, 15,000 of those on the Turkish border, that would have involved the Kurds. That was clearly too much for Ankara. Ankara clearly put a lot of pressure on Moscow. A number of high-ranking officials visited last week to put pressure on Moscow and ultimately, clearly, got what they came for.